This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports. You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host, Keith Angle, on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Everybody, Keith Angle for TGI Sports Talk right here on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network. We welcome all of you that are seeing us live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you might be catching this. This morning we'll be on plausibly live at noon on Roku. And we also, again, I want to quickly thank all the groups that allow me to share this show and all my shows to their respective groups. If I'm sharing it to your group, whether it's NFL related, NCAA related, Major League Baseball related, whatever, I guarantee you there'll be relevant content in this show. So please, I think your people would enjoy it. Good to be with you guys. It's a little dreary here in upstate New York. It's going to be almost 70 degrees today, though. So we got some beautiful weather, maybe some rain coming the next few days, but it's warm. Finishing up a rough week myself after having some surgery and suffering through this week. But we're hopefully slowly getting on the mend. So I apologize if we're a little slow today. I'll be joined in a second by my co-host, the Mad New Yorker, Carlos Chavez. And we're going to talk today NFL free agency and trades and who were the winners and who were the losers. And, whether it's players or teams. I'm sure we both got some strong opinions on that, as well as Major League Baseball and the moves that have been made there, the free agents that are still left. And at the end, we'll get to the NCAA tournament. Some huge upsets already, guys. Brackets are busted probably everywhere. Kentucky going out. Number 2, Kentucky going out. St. Peter's, one of the stars on that team, or one of the leaders on that team, is Matthew Lee, the son of Butch Lee, one of the good friends of the show, former champion, NCAA champion with Marquette Warriors. Iowa goes out yesterday, which kind of breaks my bracket. Well, I mean, I got 7 of the 8 Elite 8, but I did have Iowa in the Final 4, which hurts. And of course, more regionally here, local regionally, UConn goes out in the first round, losing to New Mexico State. And we'll talk about all of that in some of the games today, and just get Carlos's. I know you know my picks, and I'll reiterate them. I did the entire bracket Thursday night or Wednesday night, but we'll get Carlos's picks as well. So with no further ado, let me say a couple good mornings for our friend Carlos. Good morning, Dave Guyette. We'll be talking about your Bills a little bit this morning. Good morning, Alan. Good to see you. And Alan was the only one to pick New Mexico State, at least in the TGI Sports Talk pool. But I know that New Mexico State was a popular upset pick yesterday. As were some other teams that did not upset teams. But anyway, good morning, Carlos, the Mad New Yorker. How are you today?
Good morning. How you doing, Keith? Can you hear me?
I can.
All right, good.
How are you today? How's your week going? Everything okay?
That was going okay until the dance started, right?
Oh my God! Jesus.
Everybody got their party shoes on and just took them right off.
Jeez, I mean, I was, it's funny. I had Kentucky winning a couple games, but I was happy to see St. Peter's knock them off. You always like to see those upsets. It's fun. It's fun for the tournament. It's what sets it apart from some other things. And why football is missing out, but that's a different conversation.
And we're going to talk about the SEC later, all right?
Yeah, we'll get to them, near the end of the show here, because we still got 3 weeks of that to go. So let's jump in without further ado. Let's get into the NFL.
All right, let's do it.
And talk about, there's been some very big moves. Some teams have been very active, like Jacksonville, at least quantity-wise. You had teams like Jacksonville and the Dolphins signing a lot of guys.
Right. So we started the AFC
were pretty active, and so were the Bills locally here anyway, or semi-locally. And across the league, there were some big moves as well. To me, I mean, coming out of this thing real quick, I mean, some of the big winners, I think the Chargers were big winners in this whole series. I think the Jets did very well, actually. I think the Steelers did well. And I thought the Bills did well, among some other teams. The Raiders did well after the Devontae Adams trade yesterday.
Devontae Adams, right? Happened really late last night, right?
Yeah, and I don't think it's a done deal yet, but I think it's pretty much imminent here. Probably.
Well, they got picks out of that. They got a few picks. They're getting picks out of that. So
they did, because again, on the other side of the bracket, and I'm sure we'll get into this because I know we disagree on it, but I see Green Bay as a huge loser in this whole round of
because
of moves.
They were the expectations were that they already have the team, right? All they needed to do was, make sure that Aaron Rodgers wasn't leaving town. But I mean, there's a lot of big losers if you talk about spending money. Like, I mean, you talk about the Bills doing some good moves. That Von Miller deal I don't see that as a great move at all. I mean, all they needed was a couple younger guys to shore up that D line.
Yeah,
they need an O line, man. They need a protect.
They need a running back.
They need to protect. No, they had 3 running backs. They don't have an O line to give them any holes.
They don't have a running back that averages more than 3 yards a carry.
Well, because they don't have an O line, right? And then
I'll give you that. But these guys, they still don't think they're going to average.
Listen,
carry with a good offensive line.
They're in the AFC East. They should be doing better than where they are right now. Even, I mean, they did okay in the playoffs, but they weren't going to make it past the second round. That's not a good look for them to pick up Von Miller, man. It really isn't. It just shows you that they're, they lost their GM, they lost a coordinator over there, and they're not going to go very far, and they're falling fast. So they need to figure it out up there in Buffalo because they're getting a new stadium, right? I guess that's the biggest news is that they're getting a new stadium because it doesn't look like their team's getting any better.
I've been hearing about a new stadium in Buffalo for about 30 years, so I'll believe that when I see it because they're going to want state money probably, and we'll see what happens there.
They're talking about almost $6 billion, right? So, and are they going to make it a dome? Probably not.
Are they building Jerry World out there in Buffalo?
I don't know what they're going to do, and it's not even in Buffalo, man. It's in Orchard Park. So,
well, that's close enough. It's it's a suburb of Buffalo.
Yeah, hey, at least they're in New York, right? The only New York team.
They are the only New York team, and Dave Guyette sticks with his Buffalo Bills.
He can stick all day with that pick, man. Listen. If you're Bills Mafia, you gotta be shaking your head right now, thinking they had all that money, right? Because you're not gonna get those O lines, the ones that you need in a draft, right? Because then you have to develop a O lineman, right? Make him a guard or a center or a tackle, right? So. Yeah. You had the opportunity going out there and making some moves, but you blew it. You got Von Miller. You could have got Von Miller after the draft.
Well, they did bring in a couple of linemen, which again, nobody.
Yeah, but that's not. I don't know, man. All I know is that they just given the Patriots an easier way to win that division. And the Jets, they made some good moves. But again, I stick with the argument. The NFL shouldn't be seen as a developmental league. It just like if you're going to go out there and have all these players, we're developing a quarterback, we're developing a running game. What are you trying to develop? You're not trying to develop any wins or win a Super Bowl, man. Like you got to win today because the fans pay for wins today. They don't pay for wins tomorrow. They don't buy jerseys for the players for tomorrow. They buy them for today, man.
Yeah, I think the Jets.
That's a terrible thing.
The biggest move I think the Jets made was bringing back Braxton Berrios, maybe for a little bit more money than you would like, but
I mean,
he was going to get more elsewhere.
Again, that's not a bad pickup. They got a few moves here and there.
Well, the tight end move too, Ozama. If I'm saying
that was a good pick from the Bengals, right?
Great move.
Only problem is now, let's make sure he doesn't become an injury case here. Granted, he played during that being hurt in the Super Bowl, but I mean, you're giving Wilson one extra target. Berrios was already on your team. Now you're gonna go in the draft and build your line. Come on, man. Well, again, this is not about development, man. It's about winning today.
I don't think these are development moves. I think they made some moves on the offensive line that will help them. They made moves in the secondary that will help them. These were the places they needed to improve: tight end, offensive line, and secondary. And I think they made significant.
They'll be okay. Listen, they'll probably beat the Dolphins maybe once this year already, and they'll beat the Bills once. So they got 2 wins out of the moves they made today.
Yeah, I'm not telling you that this team is ready to win, but this team's going to be.
So what are we doing then, Keith? What is it? What is the deal of being an NFL team if you want to play mediocre football?
What are you doing? You build a winner, building block by building.
Yeah, listen, That's great and gravy for when you're not spending millions and millions of dollars. But these people are spending millions and millions of dollars, and the fans are paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Well, like, look, I'm not expecting every team to be like the Dodgers or the Dallas Cowboys, but at least they get the point. You got money, you spend money, you trying to win.
This year,
these guys are sitting on their hands, all looking at each other like, well, the fans are gonna pay, and we'll give them something, but we're not really worried about winning a championship, because that's what I'm getting here in New York. That everybody wants to develop players. The Knicks suck. They're trying to develop players. The Giants are trash. They're trying to develop players. The Jets are trash. They're trying to. Why are we looking at development? I want to win championships.
You haven't won anything in 50 years, and it's not going to happen overnight. You have to.
That's the issue, man. Yeah, but look, like I said, Keith, fine and gravy. If you want to be Pittsburgh, you want to be like all those teams that develop players, fine, be like that. But don't sell me these tickets at these prices, man.
Oh, that's a
don't sell me these parking prices. All these jersey prices, this is ridiculous, man. And then don't tell me you're trying to get to a championship if you're not doing anything to get to a championship.
That's sports in general, and I don't disagree with that sentiment.
I give you that, but look, at the end of the day, again, look what Arizona did, right? They got a guy who has 4 years left. 1 year left on the 4-year contract in Murray, right? They're like, you know what? If you compare him to Burrow, Murray's actually a good quarterback, right? They're kind of comparable.
Yeah.
But Arizona's like, you know what, man? We ain't spending no more money right now. And you got to prove to me you're going to win.
Well, yeah, I don't know that Murray's proved that he's the kind of guy who's going to lead a team to, a Super Bowl victory.
Hey, listen, he's got further than half of these yahoos are playing quarterback right now, including Mitch Trubisky, which is a terrible pickup for Pittsburgh. Like, so I don't want, right now, the only one that's in the back is holding tight to their hands is Arizona, not giving Murray an extension, which I kind of understand.
You remember what I told you about Mitchell and Trubisky, and I said it the other day. The Giants fans will rue the day the team did not go out and spend money. They wanted to bring him in here, but they did not want to spend the money. Because
Trubisky's smart, man. He ain't gonna go somewhere where they ain't gonna win no games, man. And he knows he's not gonna win those games. But he would have had the media. He would have had the fans, everybody against him. Mitch Trubisky is not a top-rated football player.
You will find out.
He will be a backup.
You will find out. Mitchell Trubisky has got a lot.
I already found out. He played for the Buffalo Bills and didn't do anything.
Because Josh Allen was in front of him.
He was picked. Look, he was a top-rated quarterback. He didn't give him any competition, man. He sat there on his hands.
Because Josh Allen played in front of him.
Who cares? If you're the best quarterback, you beat out the other. He did
not go in there. He was not signed to compete with Josh Allen. That's just a fact. He was there to back.
He didn't want it bad enough. You don't prove nothing to me as a back. Look, I said, you know what? I see it like this.
Again, that's unfair criticism of Mitchell Trubisky. He didn't have a chance to win the job.
He was there during camp, right?
He did learning,
right? He did everything every other backup does. Who needs to be a starter, right?
Unless Josh Allen broke every bone in his body, Mitchell Trubisky was not going to be the starter there.
There was 3 games that he should have been starting. He only started in 1, and because he wasn't that great, and Allen was like, you know what? I'll play. I'm not that. I don't feel that hurt. I'll play.
Because he's better. Josh Allen's a great quarterback. That's an unfair.
It's not unfair, man. This is the way it is. Comparison. They didn't have confidence in this guy. They should have played him 3 games.
You will find out. Mark my words. Remember this. Save this recording. Mitchell Trubisky and the Steelers will be in the playoffs. And the Giants.
They'll be in the playoffs. They got a good team around him.
All right. Well,
but he's not going to go past the first round. He's not going to go past the first round.
Yeah, well, I'll bet you they do better than Giants and with Tyrod Taylor.
Well, of course they'll do. But Tyrod Taylor is just to pick up to save money. The Giants are just trying to save money.
Horrible signing for the Giants.
Giants are doing bad, man. They're doing terrible.
That is no competition for Daniel Jones to bring Tyrod Taylor.
Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback, so they should have got.
Again, there are options out there, but the Giants aren't ready to win, so they couldn't go get a Russell Wilson.
Well, I mean, listen,
they could have got Mitchell Trubisky.
I feel like the Giants had just turned to the Jets. You just spent money on Galladay last year. Galladay's supposed to be a number 1 type receiver, right? Or you're paying him like one. You got a running back who's still kind of health risk in Barkley, right? I mean, right there is a 1-2 punch, and you should have a quarterback that could get the ball past at least to your tight end, right? But he can't.
Robert,
he can run for his life, but he can't throw for nothing. So
Good to see Robert in this morning. Robert, the reason they drafted another quarterback in Fields is because Nagy, who they never should have given left the keys to the franchises when they drafted Fields, he messed up Trubisky.
No, man, look, the coaches can't at the end of
the season before Nagy screwed him up.
Look, whether these coaches are good or bad, they're not on the field at the end of the day. Look, Kyler Murray he's got skills, he's athletic, and Arizona's like, we're still gonna hold, they're not holding him back. They ain't doing nothing for him.
Robert rips into me before he says good morning. Good morning, Robert. Good to see you.
Morning, Robert. How you doing?
Look, I respect Robert's opinion, and I respect Carlos's opinion. That's what makes these shows go, right? Is if we all agreed on everything, it'd be no fun at all. But
I don't look. If Pittsburgh makes it, they won't make it past the first round because of Mitchell Trubisky. That's the reality.
Well, that you may be right, and I may be right. That's the thing here. None of us know until we play the games. But don't tell me he didn't play in Buffalo because he wasn't good enough. He didn't play because one of the best.
Well, nobody else. And listen, Keith, he played in Buffalo because nobody else wanted him. And Buffalo right now is all they showing you is that they're okay with getting to the playoffs because they ain't gonna get to no Super Bowl. And they haven't gone with the Super Bowl with the GM that's at the Giants or the coach that's there now, which is a terrible pick. Mark my words, you'll see them in 3 years heading somewhere else.
Well, there's some other teams that have improved more. I mean, that's the other thing. Let's jump around a little bit. Let's talk about Alan's talking about, let's see here. Adams, look at the Raiders. The Raiders have done a very good job in this offseason. Bringing in Devontae Adams may make Derek Carr the quarterback. I don't think he is. We'll see. I mean, there still could be more movement there. There's still rumors about Carr moving and Garoppolo coming in, and we'll see what happens. I don't think, as much as I'm not a big Derek Carr fan, I wouldn't make that swap. I wouldn't.
Listen? Here's a question for you: would you pick up David Carr or Garoppolo before picking up Trubisky?
Maybe David Carr, but certainly not Jimmy Garoppolo. No.
What? And you are a fan of the Patriots?
Everything Jimmy Garoppolo can do. He's done as much as he can do in this league. He's not going to be the kind of guy who's going to lead you to the promised land. He just isn't.
All he does is win, Keith. All he does is win.
How many championships does he have? Did I miss him? None.
Well, he's got more opportunities than freaking Trubisky.
He played with the Bears, for crying out loud, who had half the talent the 49ers had.
And the 49ers have played with the coach that has a great concept. It only works if 100% of his team's on the field.
Right.
So
let's get back to Adam, and let's get back to the Raiders. The Raiders end up with a big victory here. The things maybe are quieting down about the Josh McDaniels signing with some of the things that they've done to improve this team. They've got some bad acts out of town. And they brought in some better players. And as much as this improves the Raiders, I think the Packers, again, I told you last week, thank God Aaron Rodgers only wanted to have better players around him, because I said to you last week, when they signed him for $50 million a year, they were going to have nobody to play around him. And there you see it. Devontae Adams is out of town a week later.
Those pieces are falling fast, man. Listen, Green Bay, they better start praying for good draft picks, because that's a big hole. And the funny part is that's a piece of arsenal that Aaron Rodgers didn't even use during the playoffs.
and again, I better not hear Aaron Rodgers start talking about the pieces that this team puts around him when he's eating up, a quarter of their cap.
What is that? Look, that just goes to show you that even picking up Aaron Rodgers, because it's not Aaron Rodgers picking to be on Green Bay. Green Bay is like the one who's paying Aaron Rodgers, right? That just goes to show you the management and the way that things are going in Green Bay. Like that's a terrible move to even allow that happen.
That's a good point. I hadn't even thought of Alan talking about Carr and Adams both being at Fresno State. I hadn't even really thought about that, Matt, pairing them up like that. That's an interesting point.
Listen, you give Derek Carr a little bit of time. He's gonna get you some good positive yards, man. Like, his thing was that his O-line would give up towards the end of the game when he needed it the most. Right? He had a good O-line, good running game, and then third and fourth quarter, you saw him kind of have to run a little bit more and have to make faster throws and
Robert Butler saying the band New York has gone mad. I think you're in the high octane again. It's 2 weeks in a row here.
Yeah, man. I got this new espresso shot. It's good for me, man. And then the thing is that we keep making these moves that are just bizarre, and
Let's Anthony. Good morning, Anthony. I don't think I said good morning, Anthony, earlier. Winners are Denver and losers are Jacksonville. I like Denver, what they've done with their offseason, obviously, the Russell Wilson being the key piece, but they made some nice pickups in free agency, I think, as well. Jacksonville spent a lot of money.
Look, Anthony,
I
man,
don't know if there's a lot of talent there.
You might think that the Jacksonville is a loser, but I'm a beg to differ on that one. The thing is that they play in a division that is going to allow them to kind of get them a few extra wins, and they shored up that defense that was not really existent, that didn't have any kind of octane there. So they sped up their defense a little bit, making those moves, signing those defenders. They got Kirk as a wide receiver who's consistent, and now all they got to do now is figure out if Lawrence is going to be the QB that they expect him to be, and that's they're kind of in a situation that Cincinnati was in a couple years ago, and I think they're going to be okay. I think the biggest loser right now is Green Bay.
I agree,
and
I put the Giants in that group.
The Giants, yeah, most definitely.
And the Seahawks. They would be my three biggest losers right now.
The Seahawks. Well, the Seahawks are going to get a picks, and they have a way of making moves during the draft that because in a few years ago they were doing good. Good morning, Bob. How you doing? They were doing good maneuvering and picking up. When they got Bobby Wagner and all those guys in the draft, so they do okay in picking talent. So I'm gonna give the Seahawks a chance. They're in a division that gives them a chance as well. So
this is my problem. Alan's comment here. Rodgers signed knowing Adams would leave, and I don't totally agree because there was no way they could afford to retain him once they signed Rodgers for so much money, and that's why I think Rodgers is such a hypocrite. To tell me last year and for years that the team wouldn't help him. He's never restructured his contract. Now he takes the biggest contract in NFL history, and he's going to be a loser.
You guys, again, the Green Bay didn't have to give him anything. And Rodgers would have been left out in the cold, in the tundra. But instead of sticking to their guns,
forget about Green Bay. Focus on Rodgers and his comments and why he said he didn't want to return to Green Bay.
It doesn't matter what these QBs say, man. If the team it's like Deshaun Watson right now. It's like that whole deal going on right now. Like if you don't like his character, you don't like what happened, you don't have to go try to get him.
Well, I certainly wouldn't want Mike bringing him in.
So it's like
for different reasons. Dave wants to know what we think about Tom Brady. I guess it's inevitable. We have to talk about this.
I wish he went to Nashville. That's what happened.
Yeah, I know you thought about that. I said he would never come back. I was totally wrong. And I think, I don't know. It's possible that Tom made a hasty decision off an emotional loss to the Rams and changed his mind. But I think it's also possible that some of the conspiracy theories that he was trying to force the Bucs' hand to trade him could be accurate as well. And Bruce Arians said, nope, not doing that. Now he's coming back to a team that's in a little bit of trouble because they've lost, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 3/5 of their offensive line.
Yeah.
They're going to lose Fournette, most likely. Yeah. And this team, and as well as some other important cogs, and this team is not going to be, at least right now as it looks, not going to be nearly as good as they've been the last 2 years.
So they're going to look like the Patriots, right?
Yeah, possibly.
You know what I'm saying? And he won with the Patriots. Listen, Tom Brady did exactly what every man over the age of 40, 45, they look at the bank account, they look at what somebody's offering them, and they go, you know what? I could do it for one more year. I've been telling you to retire and put your money in Bitcoin, and you're like, nah, I could do it a couple more years.
Well, probably, keep 10
but,
years.
I'm just saying.
My wife, though, keeps me in check here, Carlos.
Yeah, and look, and I'm sure he's well off, but when you play in the NFL and you have all those eyes,
I would say he's well off. Yeah.
Like you have all those eyes on you. It's a marketing tool, man. He's going to play one more year. Whether he wins or not, he wins in marketing. He's got a brand to build up in TB12. If he's not playing, TB12 doesn't mean anything, right? That's the reality.
It's a good question. We were talking about the Seahawks being losers. Anthony talks about what's up with Bobby Wagner not being signed yet. It is a little crazy. I'm not sure.
Bobby Wagner's contract is bigger than what people want to pay out. That's the reality. And
you've seen some crazy contracts over the last week.
Well, listen, that's why I'm saying the Buffalo Bills lost on that. They shouldn't be paying Von Miller that much. He's way over his prime. as far as if you look at it defensive wise, if you look at Rubik's and analytics, if you don't want to go by that and you love the guy, fine, whatever. But that's the same reason why Bobby Wagner is free, right? Von Miller and Bobby Wagner should be pickups after the draft or be used as during the draft to make trades and stuff like that. But
yeah,
I mean,
Bobby Wagner get with a team. He'll get with a team.
Yeah, he'll get with a team most definitely. I see him going to Arizona, maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
I kind of thought Buffalo might be a landing spot for him too, but now they spent so much money on Von Miller, I don't think they're going to spend the money on Bryant. And Robert's talking about the GM, the Green Bay management loves self-esteem and could have got a haul for Rodgers. Adams, yeah, I agree.
Look, I disagree because nobody else wanted Aaron Rodgers. For the same reason you talk about,
$50 million, they didn't.
$50 million. His attitude, his egocentric. He might be an MVP.
But you're telling me that stuff doesn't matter. You've told me for weeks.
Yeah, but that and if I'm a GM, I'll pick him up off the street. I don't care. But I'm not a GM. These GMs, they trying to,
they want to win Super Bowls. They want to win Super Bowls.
No, it's not even about winning. If you say that's true, then why are the GMs and the Jets doing crappy moves? It's like, they're not talking about development. Who wants
they're not in a position to win a Super Bowl?
Oh, come on, man. You got money, move it around, do what you got to do. You got draft picks, you have money.
God forbid I should need to defend the Jets because I'm the least Jet fan in this room or in this in this whole internet we're going out to. But if the Jets fans just relax and let this team build they're building towards something that will be competitive in another year. Possibly.
I disagree. They don't have a quarterback. They're not going anywhere.
Well, you're going to find out. You don't know.
They're not even probably going to get TV contracts because it's so terrible.
San Francisco wanted Rodgers. I'm assuming that's what Robert's talking about.
Listen, if Rodgers had many teams to go to, it might have been maybe 3. So, and the three of the teams, they got to look at the money and how the money, in their cap space. So he didn't go anywhere. Green Bay paid him out. So,
well,
it is what it is.
There's still some interesting stuff that will happen before the draft, which is about a month away, I guess. Maybe
it's coming. It's coming quick.
Yeah, we are getting close, and the NFL, as we talked about, does a great job of keeping themselves in the news pretty much year round.
Hey, Robert, I'm a shout out to Tennessee Titans. They're doing a really good job. So yeah, we're gonna see them tighten up a little bit better this year.
Not a fan of the quarterback, but I like Tennessee overall. I think has got a really good team. I love the coach.
Yeah, they got rid of Julio Jones because he didn't work out. They signed their center, Chris, and they got they're being all right. They just got a tackle from Seattle. So
before we move on, Alan's saying the only teams he's here interested in Wagner are Dallas and Philly. You know what? Dallas would probably be an interesting landing spot.
I can see him in Philly because they're trying to redo this Cox move, but he could possibly end up in Philly.
Where is Robert? Isn't Robert down there?
He's down now. He's down in Nashville.
That's what I thought.
Look, Robert, you gotta be working your butt off to try to get a new stadium and make sure it's a dome.
Oh man, when you're on with Robert, does this same stuff go on?
Only I'm texting. He don't put me live because he knows that I'll cut him off.
Oh gosh. Well, it's not so much you cut him off. It's just that you're out there so far in outer space for crying out loud. Jeez, good grief. Let's move on from Major League. NFL football to Major League Baseball. Which
how about them Yankees?
I got to tell you, being a Yankee fan.
Oh goodness!
I'm not crazy about what we've done here. I like the kid they brought in to play shortstop. Josh, I've never been a Josh Donaldson fan. I just don't like him. Probably goes back to one time he charged a mound when they thought he was throwing at him. This is years ago, and it's a stupid reason not to like the guy because he was a good player.
He's a gamer.
He's a player anymore, though.
He's hurt a lot, man. He's hurt a lot.
Gio Urshela is going to put up as good numbers as Donaldson this year.
Yeah, but they needed some trade bait. Listen,
I know.
I don't know how you feel about Steinbrenner, but this is the one time I feel like a Steinbrenner should just shut the mouth. You can't go around saying that the pandemic affected you when you're a $1 billion company and your soccer team had just won a championship. like you need to relax, hold the brakes, and watch what you say and who you say it to, man. It's like that's crazy. Listen, and another thing is the Yankees. if the Yankees are so like ready to use these minor league players or talk about these minor league players and their farm system, throw these guys in the game already. Stop fooling around and get rid of these older guys and these guys that keep getting injured. Look, they talk about the pitchers they have. They talk about Velope. Bring them up then. I don't want to hear this, we're developing them and they're not ready. No, if they're not ready, then they're not good. They're not, don't talk about them.
Guarantee a part of this is about control.
I know they don't want to pay. Yeah, but look.
Right. That goes back to they don't want to pay because they want longer control over the players.
Because they did that with Urshela because Urshela was in the system for a few years after they got him from a trade. They did have Glaber. Like, look, you're not going to get the same thing out of every player all the time. If a player is that good, right, and you think he's too young, forget about youth. Just bring him up and let him play. Even if you see in 10 games, if he's actually the player you think he's going to be, 10 to 20 games, you're going to see whether he's worth the roster spot or not. What are you worried about? You know what I'm saying? What are you worried? If Velope's that good, bring him up. If you're that good, show him up in camp and come to play for the Yankees.
Yeah,
that's all I got to say.
I don't disagree with. I do like Falafa, if I say his name right, but
Falefa. Look, Falefa's
a good bluff, but he's only going to be a short-term guy. You could see Velope or the other kid whose name's escaping me at the moment up by midseason. You may see that.
I don't want to see him midseason. I want to see him tomorrow. I don't want to hear about Judge. I don't want to hear about these These guys end up on the injured list all the time because they can't stay ready. If you got young players, bring them up, let them play, and pay them if you have to, man. You're the Yankees. You can afford everything and anything in the world. You're the biggest team in the universe, man. Stop acting like you.
Well, I've always said
need
that.
Money.
And again, I'm glad they brought Anthony Rizzo back, but they should have been all in on Freddie Freeman. I said that from the beginning.
But Freddie Freeman's he's not dumb, man. He used the Yankees and manipulated a situation that got him to the Dodgers. He's not dumb. And look, the Dodgers aren't dumb either. They pay money. They put money right where the mouth is, and they just paying people out. Look, they signed Kershaw. Kershaw's not going to give him maybe 15 games if he stay healthy.
Well, we don't. Well, his history says he won't pitch a full season, but he
exactly. Well, I mean. So out of the quarter of a season he plays, he can't win 15 games for them?
Yeah. And the Yankees still have to, look at the Yankees. Yeah, they improved the catcher position just by getting rid of Gary Sanchez.
They improved their contract position too.
And
they got some trade out of it. They got trade value.
He's a good defensive player and he's got a little pop, but he's not going to hit a lot. But I just want a steady defensive player back there.
Listen,
big problem is shortstop, I think they improved. They've still got a problem at first base. I like Rizzo, and he actually brought a lot to that team. And on the field, he was a general out there. He's a captain of that infield.
Yep, he's a gamer.
He did very well, and I'm not upset about that. Outfield, we still need to address center field.
The Yankees are still talking about signing Gardner. What the heck is going on in New York?
I'll bring Gardy back as my fifth outfielder, but no more.
Listen, Hicks is coming back. You got to eat that contract. You're not going to get the potential you want out of it. Fine, whatever. But are you serious? You're talking about a farm team that has a lot of potential, a lot of prospects. Bring them out and get these guys out. If you don't play, go somewhere else. Yeah. I don't understand what's going on with these Yankees. Listen, the Yankees been eating contracts since they've been giving them out. Like look at Ellsbury. Ellsbury didn't play for 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Well, I don't want to go through that again for crying.
Right. Well, we're doing it on a smaller scale.
While we're on the topic of the Yankees and the Mets, I mean, Dave Guy brings up the vaccination issue, which is still up in the air. We don't know what it's going to be. And by the way, please don't say Aaron Judge is not vaccinated because we do not know that.
I didn't listen. I mentioned that
he's vaccinated or not. There are 3 players that are not vaccinated. That's confirmed, but nobody's name's been released. Judge says I'm not answering a question. That does not mean he's not vaccinated.
Right. Well, and look, those guys have a right. They have HIPAA laws that protect them.
But let's cross that bridge when we get to it. But if he's not vaccinated, that's his issue. And if the rules are he can't play, then he can't play, and that's going to be a big problem.
Look, when that came out, everybody knows that. Everybody said that that's a possibility that he's not vaccinated. Whether he is or not, I could care less. Actually, the Daily News said it. Everybody sees. Well, he's not playing when he goes to these places that he should be. So
it's an outside venue. I guarantee you by April 7th that ban will be lifted and
he'll
be playing.
If it's there or if it's not, if you want to play, you gotta follow the rules, man. At the end of the day,
I don't disagree. And again, I bashed Kyrie Irving So when I know, and again, I'm not bashing Aaron Judge until I know he's not vaccinated and this matters. Until then, I'm not bashing him or anybody else.
The only reason it matters is because the Yankees still have him on a contract and they won't let him go. I don't like the situation.
Nor should they.
If he can't play, then he can't play. But look, at the end of the day, why you still want to give this guy a huge contract if he's not playing a full season?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's all I mean, as a fan, I want to see him play. But I'm not getting that as a fan. I'm getting him coming up to bat a couple times, and he wimps out during a Mets game. Come on, man. This is your prime time. You're on prime time. This is what we pay you for. And you go, you hit twice, and then you go sit out. Come on, man. That's not good.
What are you talking about?
He played the Mets, when they did the Subway Series?
Well, whatever. I mean, he showed last year.
And then they lost the game.
He played 147 games last year.
Yeah, well, he didn't finish them all.
Well, a lot of guys don't finish every game. And I think,
look, if you want a contract and you want to get paid, you want to be top paid player, you got to play.
Every team needs a face it or franchise. And by the way, guys who get it, and Aaron Rodgers gets it. Derek Jeter got it. There's very few guys in sports today that really get it. And I can't explain what get it means, right? They play the game the right way. They treat the fans the right way. They treat the game the right way. They don't cheat the game. Aaron Rodgers gets it, and everybody needs that guy to be the face of their team. Just like the Braves needed Freddie Freeman, and they should never have let him walk away. And they're going to miss that leadership of Freddie Freeman this year, guaranteed.
Oh, yeah, definitely going to miss that.
I mean, he's a nice player, don't get me wrong, but you're going to sign somebody that kind of money, they should have given it to Freeman.
And look, I don't disagree with you on that. Olsen's a good player, but I don't think he's Freeman type yet. I mean, he's still young. I mean, the thing is that he has youth on his side, right? So he has time to prove the Braves right. And Olsen gets help this year because Acuna comes back to the lineup. So, it's not a bad deal yet. It's a deal that it's a wait to see deal, right? Yeah. Just like the Tatis deal. Like, what the heck is going on, bro? Like, you're getting paid more than 3 players in the Major League Baseball, bro. Why? You need to be on the field.
By the way, how does this guy break his wrist 3 months ago?
Motorcycle.
And he doesn't do anything about it until the lockout settled.
Another thing is he told them
there's a guy who doesn't get it. Just an FYI.
Yeah, they told him, hey, what's wrong with your wrist? And then he asked them which one. So apparently he messed up both his wrists.
Awesome. And wrists aren't important to hitters, so that's not important.
Man.
These are things that'll linger. And the Padres, but they got a ton of talent out there, but
no luck. They have no luck.
Well, they don't have luck, but again,
look, this is a team. This is a team that had more injuries than the New York Mets.
They don't have chemistry on that team either. They got a bunch of really good players, but they don't have any chemistry at all. They don't have a leader. They don't have a leader on that team. You need a leader.
Look,
I know you don't think that's necessary, but you do.
Nah, I mean, look, as long as your coach is the leader, that's all that matters. And Machado is gonna get he's gonna get his stats, man. He's been getting his stats no matter where he goes, man. He's played on a crappy team, and he wasn't the leader on the Orioles. He was just the best player.
Agreed. What else do we want to talk about? I mean, what do you think? Do you agree the Braves are going to miss Olsen, or I'm sorry, are going to miss Freeman?
No, not at all, because they signed Olsen. Acuna's coming back, and then they just signed Perez. So they'll be all. That team was not the same team last year that went to the World Series anyway. Yeah. That pitching's coming. A lot of pitchers are coming back from injury. They got 2 pitchers coming back from injury. They got a solid rotation. They'll be competing, man. They're always competing. They find ways to compete, which is crazy for the market that they're in. And people say, oh, the Braves fans. Look, some of the Braves fans are some of the best fans. I compare them to Cardinal fans. They're there, they'll be there, and they don't care whether they win or not. But at least they know that they have the chance of winning. Or getting the opportunity to be in the playoffs. So
yeah, just to touch quickly on Anthony's question here, everybody kind of thought because they were out in the open air, this would not affect them. But New York City has qualified their current ruling is that it affects any public venue, whether it's open or inside. So
it's another thing is it's a private entity as well. So
that's true.
That's another clause. little lettering in the clause.
I'll touch on Alan's comment here. Kansas City could be a dark horse in a couple of years. Well, maybe, but
every year. This is like every year, Alan. What is going? Look, you know what's funny about Kansas City? It's like one of the biggest population of Dominican ball players that linger around the city trying to get on the team. It's like, it's crazy. Yeah, you know they got more Dominican restaurants than Queens.
Okay, Kansas City's done a good job of every 8 years putting together a good team that competes for a couple of years. But you can't tell me Greinke's going to have anything to do with that, because when this team's ready to compete, Greinke's going to be sitting in a rocking chair somewhere.
I'm gonna tell you what,
don't get me wrong. I think Greinke's one of the best pitchers in the last 15 years.
And he got if he gets it going, he's got one of the best catchers in the last 5 years, right? Salvador Perez is.
Oh yeah.
Look, this is what I don't understand. And he was on the market, right? The Mets didn't pick him up. The Yankees didn't pick him up. They're like, oh well, he's got a bad eye and 2 bad knees.
What, he hit 40 home runs last year with a bad eye?
I'm like, what the heck? What is going on?
Let's talk a little bit about the Mets.
The Mets.
Obviously, look at the Mets are all in this year, paying Scherzer $40 million. DeGrom now says I'm playing out his option. Here's some things too. With all the moves the Mets have made, whether you think they're good or you think they're bad, they're all in to win. They put some players around DeGrom. They added Scherzer as a running mate in that rotation.
They got Bassett to close
and they got Bassett to Bassett to close, right? And I've heard fans on social media message boards ripping DeGrom for saying he's going to play out his option. Well, that's what the option's for. I mean,
look, he's got an agent for that. I can't stand New York media when they talk to some of these players. Yo, these players have agents, man. Talk to their agents. Mm-hmm. And I know you can't get a hold of some of their agents, but don't talk to the player. At the end of the day, the player, he don't care. He's going to get paid whether he's playing or not, because that's how the contracts work with the guarantees. And then, if they're on injury reserve or they're not, speaking about, DeGrom's issue last year with this elbow, the fans didn't like the fact that he didn't finish out the season, and we didn't get to see good baseball towards the end of the season. Right.
We did not. And they quit on Rojas last year, which cost him his job.
I mean, hitting cost Rojas his job.
Yeah, because they quit. So they didn't hit.
These guys, they were hitting straight to the shift. Every single one of those guys.
What else stands out to you here? I mean, what about this kid from Japan,
Suzuki, for the Chicago Cubs?
Yeah, was heavily chased around by MLB teams, and he ends up in Chicago, which still has some work to do to be a contender. But
what a shame, right? Like, you want to see this guy play out on a team that has the opportunity of winning, because
they'll look good in pinstripes. I'll tell you that.
Oh, the Yankees dropped the ball on that.
A little surprise.
I know, but don't worry. Gardner's on the back burner.
Don't
get
me going. How about and what about the Rockies? The Rockies are not ready to win, and they're given. And I love Chris Bryant, by the way, but Chris Bryant's much more valuable to a contender. And they have huge numbers in Colorado, but
the winner on that deal is Chris Bryant and his agent.
Yeah, the Rockies.
That was a good deal for him. His age, his power to go out to Colorado in that thin air. Colorado, they don't have a clue of what's going on over there. Right now their system is in disarray.
Chris Bryant would have been a great fit for the Mets, by the way. He can play a lot of positions.
I want guys on the team, on the Yankees or the Mets, that are going to stay on a team as long as possible and play and be a part of the roster as long as possible. Which is why I'm aggravated with the Yankees, because they got Stanton, who doesn't play much, Judge, who kind of plays sometimes. They got all these pitchers that are highly paid that get injured all the time. Servino and all, Chapman. Like, come on, man, you're getting paid millions of dollars. Can we play seriously?
Are Yankees and Mets fans allowed to attend home games if they're not vaccinated? That's a very good question, Dave.
They have to wear a mask.
They can go to restaurants, so I believe they can go.
They can go as long as they wear a mask.
Yeah, it's the participants that this applies to, and or workers is. Carlos is talking about a private business, so it applies to the employees more than the people.
Yeah, so if the Mets want to play and they have guys that are not vaccinated, they have to do the state. They can't be around for 5 days, and then they can go in on the 6th day. They have to wear a mask while they're around, and then they have to do all that routine if they feel sick or whatever,
Let's talk quickly about some of the guys still out there, because there's still some big names out there. Trevor Story's still out there. Correa's still out there. Castellanos is still out there, who I think the Yankees should be chasing myself. I like Castellanos a lot.
Castellanos wants money. Trevor Story, they want money.
Pay them. We're the New York Yankees. You said it earlier.
Yeah, but okay.
Not the Kansas City Royals. We're the Yankees.
Right. So this is where my ordeal comes with Judge. Let him go, trade him off, and get some pitchers. Get Trevor Story. Get Castellanos. I mean, come on. Castellanos is younger. He bats for average. Like, let's do this. I'm not in the disagreeing with you at all.
Okay.
but to get him, you got to get rid of get rid of the excess weight you got.
Well, the Yankees are not in play for Story anymore. They're not in play for Correa anymore. I think they should be in play, as I said, for Castellano, and I think they could be in play for Michael Conforto. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens.
Michael Conforto, he shot himself in the foot by asking for all that money that he's asking for. Of course, he's got one of the best agents in baseball. So, I mean, he would have been on a team before the lockout if he didn't have that agent.
Gertie is back with 1 year. Yes.
No. So the deal with Gardner is the Yankees will keep him on the roster if they can't find that third outfielder that they're looking for. If they find the third outfielder, they're going to sign that guy, put Gardner back on the roster, and help him retire.
Yeah, well, he's going to get money either way. So
right, that's what the Yankees want to do. But Gardy said he wanted to play already. He's on the record stating a few times and a ton of different media outlets that he's not wanting to just get signed to retire. He wants to play. He wants to be on the field. So.
Some of the guys we've talked about, I mean, I can see some of these guys settling for a 1 year deal and going back into the market next year.
I don't understand why these guys won't. Like, why would you want a 6-7 year deal, go to a place, not feel comfortable with the place, and then get stuck there for at least 3 to 4 years and then opt out?
Yeah.
That don't make we've had this conversation before, right? And you're like, well, the contracts aren't made that way. I'm like, yeah, so why don't you be a player? Why don't you be an agent and make that happen? Give me a 2-year deal with an If I like this place, I'll stay and play it out. Then you can sign me an extension.
It's simple. They want the security against injury and everything else. They want their money now.
Well, the beauty about baseball is that no matter when you sign a contract, you have guarantees.
Yeah, but now if I sign for 3 years and $90 million, that's not 7 years for 180. I mean, I got $180 million guaranteed, not 90. And if I get hurt or I play bad, I'm never getting that other $90 million. Yeah,
but that's the case that you have. That's a that's a situational issue that as an athlete, is not avoidable because injuries happen.
They're all going to take as much money as they can get and as many years as they can get guaranteed right now. Every one of them.
Right. And you know what? The owners need to just stop that. They need to step up to play and be like, I'm not doing that. Look, Michael Conforto's still on the market. He's a pretty decent player.
And then the players union sue him for collusion. I mean, it's ridiculous. Every time since free agency started and the owners tried to get salaries down and get things under control, they've been charged with collusion and had to pay out more money even than they would have paid if they signed guys. And to me, it's ridiculous. They should be able to do whatever they need to do to run their business to make money.
Right. Well, so how long would it take for Conforto not to be signed before he's going
to sign a 1 year deal somewhere?
Well, who's going to sign him?
Diamondbacks, maybe. Colorado, maybe.
I mean, I could see him going to. I thought Pittsburgh or even the Angels were a better person.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of guys. If you for on a 1 year deal, make a deal that Conforto will get a job somewhere and probably get a starting position. And then if he can rehab his reputation, his career, he can go back on the market next year.
But his agent is looking for that 7 year, 6-7 year deal, man.
He better look at the calendar and realize it ain't happening.
Oh man,
it would have happened by now. Yep. And I think the same thing's going to happen to Carlos Carr. I think, and maybe Story. They're going to sign 1 year, make good deals. I wouldn't be shocked if that doesn't happen, and they go put themselves back on the market because now the money's drying up. we're only a few weeks from the start of the season.
Hey, look, I'm for these young guys. Bring up these young guys, man. Quit spending time and money in the farm system. You're just taking up roster spaces, man. So,
agreed.
Well,
we're going to have a lot of time to jump into that topic more as we get closer to spring training, and we'll certainly. I'm sorry, the start of the season. And we'll certainly jump into looking at the entire league and certainly the
April 17th, right?
Yeah, that's 7th, I think, isn't it?
17th.
Is it the 17th?
15th, the weekend of the 15th, whatever that.
Yeah, I had a 7th in my head. I don't know why. Let's move on before we run out of time. We got to talk a little bit about March Madness. As the madness is begun.
Let's dance.
I talked about at the top of the show. Brackets getting busted with Kentucky going out. Iowa going out. UConn going out. So you got a 2, a 4, and a 5 out the first day.
Yo, you were big on Iowa, right?
Well, I had Iowa in the Final Four. Ooh. And, Fran McCafferty lets me down. I wish he never coached at Siena.
It's not coach, man. The players got to play. And Richmond gave Iowa a fight.
The Murray twins out there, that's a good team. I cannot believe this team didn't show up to play yesterday. It's amazing to me.
They wouldn't expect Richmond to be a battle, man.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't, but they're playing really good basketball. And
They're playing really good basketball, A-10 basketball.
Richmond's got a rich history of knocking high-seeded teams out of the NCAA tournament, and they did it again. St. Peter's beating Kentucky.
I like that. I like that a lot. I didn't have Kentucky going past the Sweet 16, so.
I didn't either, so it doesn't hurt me that much. But you got to be happy for the players on St. Peter's. As I said, I know that Matthew Lee is a major cog in that team, and he's the son of Butch Lee, former NCAA champion at Marquette, and certainly a friend of this show, as he's been on a few times. And
hey, congrats to that family, to the Lee family. Listen, you got bigger mountains to climb, man. I know. Look.
Interesting. They got Murray State now. Not instead,
but it's not an easy battle.
No, Murray State and St. Peter's. One of them's going to be in the Sweet 16.
Yeah. So I'm an OVC guy from back in the day at Austin Peay. I'm picking Murray State.
I know you love that
over St. Peter's. I just think they battled Kentucky, gave them a fight, but maybe they got in too deep. You know what I'm saying?
It's possible. Murray State could possibly have a path to the Elite Eight in the, depending on what happens in this Virginia.
But I don't have them going past 8. I mean, I don't have them. I just, some of these guys, like I always say, you got to have like the 8 to 9 players, man. You got to be deep.
Well, again,
everybody's got to do their job, and sometimes you see 3 or 4 players, and then you see them go out, and then you see that, like Colorado State, right, against Michigan. They 15 points ahead. You're like, oh, okay. But then you saw Michigan's depth, right? You saw them come back. You saw the players rotating in, making things happen. And they're gonna play Tennessee. I don't know if the Tennessee's deep too. So I don't think it's gonna be a biggest battle.
I got Tennessee in the final against Gonzaga.
I got Tennessee versus Purdue, and I got Purdue winning the whole thing.
Well, Purdue's path just got easier with Kentucky going out. So
I know. So I mean, listen, who played? I watched that game with Providence.
Yep.
I mean, I was like, whoa, the Jackrabbits gonna come back, and Providence, they did what they did. The players, all the players, they got a good team over there. Providence, they're gonna go. I think they might go deep.
They could. That bracket's a little bit in disarray as well.
Yeah,
I'll tell you who impressed me the most. Arkansas sneaks out a win yesterday, and I do have a big wager on them to win.
I got them in the elites,
but they got a bad draw getting Gonzaga in my mind. That's the only reason I didn't take Arkansas to go further. I do have a bracket with Arkansas winning, but Gonzaga is my favorite.
Well, I'll tell you what, Gonzaga they don't have it easy because Arkansas, coming from the SEC, played everybody tough, and they could have won the tournament. So,
we'll go back to that. We'll talk more about that on Sunday, Rick. Listen, I'll get to some of these comments here in a second before we have to wrap up, and I do want to get our Final Four picks solid. A team that I think the team that may have impressed me the most yesterday was St. Mary's. Dismantled Indiana. You can say Indiana's at the bottom of the Big Ten, but still,
the Big Ten was overrated this year, though. It was so overrated.
Team, and I got St. Mary's in the Elite Eight.
In the Elite Eight,
more games.
I have a 16 more games. Yeah, I don't have them in the 8. I don't think
they were the team that impressed me the most.
Wow.
Let's see what we got here.
See, for my Final Four, I have.
Alan was the only one to pick New Mexico State in the TGI Sports Talk brackets, so that's a good pick, Alan.
I have Baylor going against Purdue and Providence going against Auburn.
Georgia
in the Sweet 16, and then I got Alabama versus Davidson and Tennessee versus Villanova in the 8.
Yeah, Dave says April 7th too. I still got April 7th in my head. We'll have to check that date. But
I think that was the first date they gave out. But then didn't they just send an announcement?
I'll have to check because I did have the 7th in my head as well. But we'll double check on that. I will give you. Here's my. I'm going to give you my Elite 8, and then on my Final Four. So I got Gonzaga against Texas Tech in the West. In the East, I've got St. Mary's against Purdue. And I'm sorry, Gonzaga getting to the Final Four and winning, by the way. I've got St. Mary's and Purdue, and I got Purdue losing to Gonzaga in the Final Four. I have got Illinois and Tennessee in the Elite 8 in the South, and Tennessee getting to the Final Four and to the final game. And in my other Final Four, Wisconsin against Iowa, and Iowa's out, obviously. So,
right.
I would have had Iowa losing to Tennessee, so that's where we stand there.
But you think Richmond can beat Providence?
It's possible. I would not look at Davidson is a really good basketball team. I got Davidson beating Duke in the round of 32. So I got them winning today against who they playing today? They got Michigan State today. I got them beating Michigan State and Duke. This is a good team out of the A-10. Richmond beat them in that final and beat them pretty handily, I thought. I mean, it got close at the end, but I think Richmond can beat Providence for sure. Providence is a good team, but they've played a lot of close basketball games this year.
And which is the reason I picked them to go at least to the 16.
It does help. It does help if you've got those kind of wins under your belt, right? Because you don't panic at crunch time. Which, by the way, impressed the hell out of me in St. Peter's.
Yeah,
their coach, after the game, he was being interviewed, and the interviewer said, weren't you nervous? He goes, it's just basketball. And I think that's what he instills in these kids, right? This isn't, life-changing. Well, it can be life-changing, but it's not a major thing in your life that's going to affect you going forward for most of these kids. Go out there and enjoy it. And that's why these teams like St. Peter's and Richmond, who got nothing to lose, can really do some damage. And somebody, I think, there could be an outlier here that's going to get to the Final Four. And it could be a Murray State. It could be a St. Mary's. It could be. I don't think it's going to be a Richmond, but
so you don't think that a bigger school is going to end up in the Final Four?
Oh no, I've got all 5 big schools in there. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying that there is the possibility of one of these schools shocking the world and getting there for sure. I mean, nobody picked George Mason when they got to the Final Four, or Loyola Chicago, but that's true. But it does happen, right? And I didn't pick them either, but they're good enough basketball teams. These mid-majors now, Carlos, they're good because they can compete with these teams because they've got seniors and they've got
that experience helps them. I mean, I always go on depth, man. Like how many players you got.
That's a good point. And I poo-pooed that with Iowa, and I was wrong, obviously, right? I said they made it through 4 days in a row playing in the Big Ten tournament and won, so they got plenty of depth. Well, they didn't show it yesterday. So.
And where I see the tournament going, and which is why I picked it 3 versus 4 on the Final Four, on both brackets, on both sides of the bracket, is that the 3s and the 4s were cheated. Because because of the bigger conferences, pulling in more, some of these getting seated higher. So that's why I have Arkansas versus Purdue, and then I have Tennessee and in the Final Four, Tennessee and Providence, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to say any of these picks are crazy for sure. So
I mean,
though, That's all we got time for right now. So we'll follow up more on this next week, and we'll see where we stand
Keep dancing, guys.
Thursday. Enjoy the big dance. Another great day of basketball, wall-to-wall NCAA basketball today. You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you on Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness. Carlos, thank you.
Good
We'll
job,
see
man.
you all later. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Thank